So first of all, Russell, we have to say congratulations on your wedding.
Why, thank you.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of the clip on your Instagram, and we saw that emotional moment. And we also have to tell you that you're probably one of those rare artists, extremely busy artists, who found time in between a world tour to get married. So how does that feel?
Well, in between a world tour and in between a world pandemic, I found love. I mean, I lost love, found love, made love. There was a lot of love everywhere.
So are there going to be lots of marriage jokes this time around?
No, not really. No, I mean, no, not really. I don't think that's the angle I'm going. I'm going with just trying to deal with being an old guy now.
Okay. Yeah, which brings us to the name of your world tour, Act Your Age. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, you've mentioned that you're 51, you found love again, you've got young kids. But why Act Your Age, particularly for you in the context of the person that you are today?
Well, because I'm still very immature, but I'm at an age now where I'm not even middle-aged anymore. I'm past middle-aged. I'm closer to dementia than I am to anything else. So for me to start, it's when I say act your age, for me, it's like, at 50, I'll be 52 this year. I mean, so I got to start acting at least like I'm 40, because I'm definitely not going to act my age.
So, I mean, Russell, at this time, I mean, if you could freeze time and, choose, what age would you choose to be?
Now, when you say what age would I choose to be, would it be what age would I choose to be now, or what age would I have chosen to go back to?
Anything. I mean, if you're perfectly happy right now, this could be the age, or, even something from, because all of us hanker after our youth. So
I think I would go back. This is going to sound awful. I would go back to 39.
Oh, okay.
And make different decisions.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, so Russell, you're coming back to Dubai and you're performing at a very iconic arena where you actually were the first act to open that particular arena as well. So how does that?
Right. Oh, I'm excited to come back because it's the cool part is I opened that arena, and then less than a year later, everything got shut down.
Yes.
And now it's right at everything's starting to kick back up. I feel like I'm part of the crew that's reopening the theater again. So I opened it and I'm getting to reopen it again. Yeah. I may not be the first guy in there this time, but I'm definitely in the beginning of it.
Okay. I mean, you performed all across the world, and our audience is different all over, especially in the global world that we live in, where you'd probably find more Indians in New York than New Yorkers in India, or equally vice versa. But our audience is different, and do you actually kind of make sure that your set kind of is? I mean, nobody's going to accuse you of being politically correct, of course, but
never.
Yeah. So how do you ensure that you remain fresh for each audience?
I mean, listen, when people are coming to see you, it's kind of like this. If you go to a steak restaurant and you're going for steak, you're not going to bring a vegan with you. So the people that are coming to see me are coming to get exactly what they want. So I'm their steakhouse, so to speak. Maybe a steakhouse isn't the right answer for Indian people, but but you get the idea.
Yes. And yeah, you mentioned before in interviews that you never get into politics or religion. Is that like a set rule for you?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, it's there's people who dedicate their whole career to politics, comics who are very in tune with the political world and all that. And in all fairness, you can just turn on the TV and see about 10 to 15 different channels talking about the same political events for free. Why would you want to come hear some guy who knows nothing about it talk about it? And religion is one of those things that's so personal to people that it's not fair for me to say anything one way or the other. So I figure with the two things that one I know nothing about, and the other one it's too risky as far as I'm concerned, because you can be misunderstood field. So I avoid them both.
Okay. Also, I mean, as in right now, if you look around the world, you know, this cancel culture is huge, and comedians especially have to be.
Is it though?
Oh, okay.
Is it though? Have you ever actually met a person who's into cancel culture? Physically met? I've never physically met one. These are all online. It's all bots as far as I'm concerned. People are bowing down to this weird 0.5%. You know what I mean? Like there's the rest of us are like, every time I mention it on stage, people are like, boo. And I'm like, exactly. And then I've never met one.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
I've never physically met one where it was like, well, I think, and I'm like, well, if I had a face to somebody, I'd be like, well, I get it. But do you have a face to anybody for this? I don't have a face for anybody on this.
But a lot of people actually exist, I think, purely on social media. I mean, real people also. So I think it gains a lot of traction because you have people following, but you don't give importance to that.
I don't. I don't believe it's like a real thing. I think it's it's one of those things where you empowered people who had no power ever. And it's there's a reason there's royal families and not royal families. Because I've met like royal people like kings, queens, princes, and every time I meet them, they are so cool. And there's nothing about them that makes you go, wow, because you meet somebody like that and you go, if I was in their situation, man, I would be doing all kinds of crazy stuff. But you meet them and they're just so chill and so respectful and so nice. You're like, that's not what I expected. You know, because we look at it from our perspective of just being quote unquote regular people. And we think we know how much, or we assume we know how much power they have. And we think, what would we do with that power? But if you're born into it, it doesn't phase you, you know? So I don't know where I went off on a tangent to, but that was the answer to something.
Yeah. Okay. You're also bringing your comedy at a time in the midst of a pandemic, like you mentioned, and with a war looming in the background. So do you think the world needs to laugh more than ever right now, and people like you need to go
I mean, whether it's me or somebody else, the world definitely needs to laugh a lot more. We need to forget about our problems. And we need to remember we were once much happier.
Yes, yeah. I mean, you're a world performer. You have been doing this for so many years, but I just wanted to ask you, do you still get the jitters before you get up on stage? And what's the worst that ever happened to you on stage?
Not the jitters so much, but when you got like a place like the Coca-Cola Arena and you know that, 10, 15,000 people have come to see you and you've been to Dubai. Man, I've been to Dubai so many times and they consistently show up and they consistently give me great energy. The feeling I get backstage is I really don't want to disappoint these people. Let me make sure I remember everything.
Okay, yeah. And is that also pressure in your other life, Russell? When you enter the room, everybody expects you to be the funny person around. Have you overcome that by now? Or is that a pressure that you feel?
For me, I don't know what other people are expecting, but I know who I am. And I know what my personality is. And sometimes people go, you don't have to be funny right now. And I'm like, I'm not trying to be. It's just literally my nature. I like seeing people laugh. I like meeting people. I like trying to figure out what makes different people smile. I like connecting with people. So for me, there's no pressure on me when I walk into a room. I always feel like, I wonder what's going to happen in here.
Okay. So Russell, lastly, I mean, I have to admit that I have never been to your live performance, but I have watched.
How dare you, MB?
No, sorry. But I have watched you. We have, sat up late at night laughing at your thing. But what actually scares me is the fact that you have a knack of picking out people from the audience. Okay. So has it ever happened that any one of them has accosted you while you were leaving a venue and kind of said something to you?
No, I mean, no.
Never?
Because when I do it, I think what people don't understand is when I'm doing it, when you're in the room and you're there while I'm doing it, you understand the tone of what's happening in that room. And sure, sometimes I'll give you this. Sometimes I may go a little past the line. And even then I'll call myself out of like, that was unnecessary. And I will call myself out. But no, I don't do it ever to hurt anybody's feelings. I do it more to just make you uncomfortable. Because when people are uncomfortable, it's really funny.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Russell. We so look forward to seeing you in Dubai this time.
Well, do you, Ambika? Because you haven't seen me before.
No, but this time I definitely want to be there. But
Listen, Mr. Sachin, you be there.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Take
you.
care.